In football-related news, the African Nations Championship in Algeria was said to be the opportunity for the World Cup heroes, Morocco, to show off their next crop of talent as the world still digests the nation's performance in Qatar. That, however, did not happen as the team were denied a direct flight. Then, at the opening ceremony, Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandela, angered Moroccans, necessitating an investigation by CAF, who say they want to stand neutral on political matters. AIPS Africa President Obi Mitchell joins me to discuss this. Very good evening and welcome to Newzroom Africa. Can you just explain how we actually got here?
First, let's say that Africa missed an opportunity to have the best of our local talents show their wares and, of course, show the promise which some of them have done over time and even on the world stage. And it's really a sad one. For optimists like us, we are thought football could have provided a solution between two nations that have been at each other's neck, so to speak, in the last, as far as I can remember, in the last 40 years. And it's a fight outside the game, and it's really not good for the game. And so, how did we get here? A simple situation where the Moroccans were waiting for authorization, and they had gotten a provisional authorization, which CAF obtained from the host Algeria, in terms of how they could get into Algeria for the Nations Cup. Don't forget, they are the defending champions, and they were going to play to at least win that title for the third time. They had won it 2018, and of course, the last time in Cameroon, interestingly. And what happened? They were ready at the airport waiting to a date for to the kickoff, and they couldn't get the authorization. Of course, all that politics, and you expect the Moroccans to say, could they find an option? The option was tedious, either going through Tunis or going through Europe to access Algeria, which means at least more than 4 or 5 hours, which really is not healthy for the good of the game. But then we saw the shenanigans of politics, the leadership of CAF and even FIFA trying to find a solution with a shuttle that really didn't work. Interestingly, at the same time, we have the FIFA Club World Cup draw in Morocco, and it provided an opportunity perhaps to see how the football eggheads could talk to the Moroccans and, of course, talk to the Algerians, who really said they were ready to welcome the Moroccans. Of course, Morocco had been in Algeria for the Arab Games, but they didn't get to go through the short route, and that short route is necessary for them, and that's the issue. They couldn't get the authorization, and now we have an African championship ongoing without the champions. But more than anything else is the fact of what you said about the opening ceremony itself, which was loaded with politics. This was the first time in a long while that we were seeing politicians come and be direct with their words. You would expect football to be free from the politics of bitterness, the politics of division, and of course the politics of nationalism, which some people carry to the extreme. But there we have it, and the CAF statutes that really does not make for how to handle this complex situation. Between Algeria and Morocco, they are friends of both sides. Solidarity is beginning to show, and CAF itself, it doesn't really have the clout. I don't think they have the clout. They are tied to Morocco, they are tied to Algeria. Algeria will be hosting the Under-17 Nations Cup this year. I wonder whether these same intrigues will play themselves out. Of course, Morocco too will be hosting the Under-23 Nations Cup this year, and I'm wondering whether we'll get to see all this kind of politics. But it's not healthy. If you ask me, football should provide the opportunity for brothers to get their youths, exchange amity, exchange the goodness of the game, and also find freedom from what we have seen in Africa. Brothers going to war consistently and not finding the kind of solution that can help the populace.
I suppose nobody expected the comments from Mandela at the opening ceremony at a stadium that's named after his grandfather, South Africa's first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela. That is a beautiful new stadium in Constantine. Dr. Obi, I'm just wondering if you are able still to hear us. What do you make of the
I got the message of the grandson of Mandela echoing a very old thought. Everyone knows that states within the continent that are yet to get freedom need to be freed, but is football ceremony and opportunity to come and re-echo those statements. That's the issue. It's the platform, not the message. Of course, the message is sincere. We want to see Africa freely, truly liberated. But where do you get to communicate that kind of a message? And how do you communicate it to an audience that is littered with screams that bring sentiments of, is it racism or what you want to call it? I don't know how to paint the chant that came really taking the Moroccans to pain. And it's little wonder the Moroccans have protested and they've filed a complaint. We wait and see how CAF investigation will bring any result. I don't think we'll get to have anything distinct from all of that.
What's going to happen to the relations between CAF and the Moroccan Federation, which have brought so much pride to the African continent, not only because of the World Cup in Qatar, but increasingly CAF have been holding major events in Morocco. It's a key member of the Continental Federation.
Yes, Morocco, the chairman of the finance committee of CAF is from Morocco. Morocco has flown the African flag in brilliant fashion at the World Cup in Qatar. Morocco has become even the haven for so many African countries where they don't have a national stadium of pride to play their games, and they are ready at short notice to host such a competition. Morocco has been a truly football haven, so to speak. Algeria is trying to join in that fold, but with the political mix, I wonder whether they will get to it, because this issue has given another face, another visage, as they say, to the Algerian way of doing things. And some people are not excited. But then the Algerians do have friends. I know that the Cameroon Football Federation President, Samuel Eto'o, is in solidarity with the Algerians. He said the Algerians they came to his rescue when, you recall, the Nations Cup in Cameroon was almost at last minute being taken away when FIFA insisted that the fear of COVID may not allow the competition to go. But that was just an explanation which didn't go deep. And so you have friends of Morocco. The Nigerian former FA president is backing Morocco and believes that CAF should hit hard at Algeria. Of course, it's a divided house. It's expected. But let's see how this politics can be managed, and let's come back to the beauty of our game. And for the young ones, I think Chan has provided an opportunity, especially for the local players, to really get to the stage where they can show their skills. Good enough, the crowd is there. I've watched some of the games. Exciting football. Madagascar, Mozambique, even Sudan in the same group with Morocco, that is absent. They have all showed that they have something to really bring to the table when it comes to football. So the politics will always be there.
CAF said that they want to stay politically neutral in the world where football seeps into every single facet of our lives. Is that even possible?
That is you cannot take football out of the environment. Football is culture. Football is the people, and the people have political appetite. They have political taste. They have political preferences, and even Argentina, FIFA is looking at Argentina, the way they conducted themselves after winning the World Cup. It's a makeup of how they celebrate, how they view the world. Their worldview is all brought to bear, especially at the moment when they think the world is watching. That's when the statements, political statements, do really get to where it matters. So people, you cannot take away politics out of the game. The point is that don't politicize the game. Let the game be, and then the politics can always come from, is it the sidelines or the politicians who come into the game can play their politics, but let the game not be politicized. I think that's the nuance we have to really take into heart.
I wonder how you keep that line.
How can you keep the line? It's very, very, very easy. That's if you don't get to commit yourself to individuals who want to use the game as a cloak for their own political interest. If you do that, if you do it that way, then you you find yourself really getting off the back of those who really want to be political. Even the president of CAF himself, at one point in time, he was touted as a potential leader of the ruling party of South Africa. That didn't get to taint his neutrality in terms of how he conducts himself. We saw how he stood in the Nations Cup in Cameroon. He was firm that Nations Cup would go ahead, and some of us praised him for his steadfastness and his unyielding stance. That way you see an African leader who doesn't want politics to affect what the people find joy in. Football is a game that brings joy to many. It's a game that really can unite people. It's a game that somehow takes away the boundaries of color, of race, and all that, I would say, all those divisions. And so if you can get it right, at least put it on a measure of centrality, the politics will be reduced.
Seasoned sports journalist and AIPS Africa President, Dr. Mitchell Obi, chatting to us. We thank you for your time here.